Hey everybody, it is Jared Wade and I am here with Bill, our planning director extraordinaire. And we had a 4-hour and 15-minute plan commission meeting last night.
Joy of my life.
Did you get enough sleep?
I did.
Good. You probably did. You probably did. I'm still waking up and it's like in the afternoon. All right. So as you can see, this is probably going to take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but we're going to still try our very best to keep everything into a 10-ish minute range. There were originally how many things on?
12.
There were originally 12 things. So let's start with the stuff that got moved to, and then when are they getting moved to?
So yeah, we had 5 items on the agenda that were moved from this agenda to a subsequent agenda. 4 of them go to May 23rd.
Okay.
And those 4 are the town's actually updating our recreation impact fee. And so we needed to do public notice. We didn't get the public notice in the newspaper in a timely manner, so we had to continue that in order to get notice in the newspaper in a timely manner. And the Avon Retail Center, which is an addition on to the Merle King Shopping Center, that was continued because the property owner there may be acquiring additional acreage, and so they may be amending that petition to include a redesigned facility. And so they wanted a 2-month continuance to June 27th in order to complete at least some of their due diligence on that stuff. The Rise Avon development on South Ronald Reagan Parkway was continued. We're literally this close on that one. All we're waiting for are some building elevations, and I think we can put that to bed. That one will go to May 23rd as well. And then probably the most controversial element of the agenda was 2 petitions. One of them's the sections 5 and 6 of Fairwood. That's a primary subdivision request, an initial subdivision request, and the Oriole Estates Plan Unit Development, which is a townhome development, proposed townhome development to the west of the high school. And both of those were continued to May 23rd. Those 2 petitions are sort of joined at the hip, and so the petitioner wants those 2 petitions to be on the same agenda. And so if they needed to continue one, they were going to continue the other, and they wanted to continue Oriole Estates, so they continued Fairwood at the same time.
Awesome. Okay, so 5 different things that were supposed to be heard last night got moved to a later meeting, and that left us with 7. And even the 7 took a little over 4 hours to get through. So we're going to take the next 4, 5, 6 minutes or so, and Bill has been prepping. This is the moment that you've been waiting for your entire life.
My entire life.
He's very excited.
Frank's right up there with the birth of my children.
That's a good one too. I like that one as well. Bill's going to go through what those items were. He's going to briefly give an overview of why they came to the Plan Commission and then how it's going to impact you. Each one of these items should only take about 60 seconds. But if you know Bill, you know that he likes to be thorough and he likes to make sure that all of the details are out there. So we're going to walk through those one at a time. Bill, whenever you're ready.
All right. So 4 of the petitions were what we call development plan review petitions, and that means it's imminent construction, usually along the 36 corridor. But in this particular case, we did have only 2 of the 4 items were on the 36 corridor. One of them was an addition to the Mears Machine building, and that's just about 18,000 or 11,000 square foot addition to the Mears Machine facility to transition outdoor storage that they currently have behind their building to an indoor storage situation. And then the second one is the Swenson's Drive-In Restaurant. And this is sort of an interesting case from a basically planner perspective, because most zoning ordinances are no longer drafted to accommodate drive-in restaurants, and ours is no different. So when things like Swenson's or Sonic or those things come in, it usually requires a little bit of flexibility in interpreting the ordinance. The Swenson's, they had a couple waivers, a little bit of landscaping waivers. Our ordinance requires foundation plantings. Because they have a large canopy around their building, they wanted to move the foundation plantings to a different location on the property. And they also needed a waiver of some architectural standards in the ordinance. Plan Commission had, approved both of those waivers, and they unanimously approved the Swenson's Drive-In. The Plan Commission also approved the Mears Machine addition. There is on Avon Avenue, North Avon Avenue, I Love It So, which is a new building that's being constructed south of the bank on 100, I believe it's 100 North and Avon Avenue. And that will be about a 4,000 square foot building, and it will be sort of this sewing instruction, sewing equipment sales, and maybe some quilting as well. And so that's what that new building, that's probably going to start construction fairly soon. And then the controversial development plan review petition at the Plan Commission last night was the Ziggy's Coffee. And the reason that it was controversial is because of its location. So property is located at 100 South and Avon Avenue. I believe that's right, 100 South and Avon Avenue.
100 South and Dan Jones.
I'm sorry, Dan Jones Road.
That's right. Southeast corner right there.
That's right, Dan Jones Road, southeast corner, and right across the street from the park, and it's surrounded by residential development. And the issue with that particular case, it's been zoned commercially for years, decades probably. And it was undeveloped property, and so no one knew that it was zoned commercially, and so it was zoned commercially. We at the town have had several inquiries on that property over the years to put any number of commercial uses at that location. The most recent, before Ziggy's, was gasoline service stations. I've gotten, since I started here about a year and a half ago, I've gotten 3 calls on that particular piece of property for a gasoline service station. This seemed to be a good use for a commercial lot in the middle of a residential area. It's a small 815 square foot building. They will have walk-up coffee service, but they'll have a lot of drive-through coffee. It'll be a lot of drive-through. There'll be 2 right-in, right-out entrances on 100 and on Dan Jones Road, right there near the roundabout. So it shouldn't obstruct traffic in any way. But the controversy obviously was, do you have a commercially zoned piece of property surrounded by residentially zoned land and actively improved with residences? And so there was a lot of concern about the land use. Unfortunately, the land use is just sort of, because it's zoned appropriately for commercial land uses, there's very little the town and the Plan Commission can do to stop the land use. We were just trying to ensure that the design occurs in a way that's consistent with the residential context and that it's located in.
I think it's a very important thing for the community to understand is there's only a certain amount. We can't stop it, basically. There's a lot of folks that desire for, hey, we don't want this to go in there. But if a piece of property is zoned a specific way, and then the builder, whoever purchases that property, if it's zoned a certain way, and they want to build something that meets all of our requirements, and it's basically a checklist. As long as they check mark and they get approval for everything based off of how it's zoned and what's going in there and things of that nature, like you said, there's very little that the town can do. But that's not to say that our economic development team, John Taylor, who's our economic development director, that's part of his job, is to reach out to the businesses and the entities to bring them and help them see the possibilities that Avon has. So if you have questions, and there's still a few more things that you're going to be talking about, Bill, but I wanted to pop in real quick and just remind everybody, if you ever have questions, if you ever have thoughts, and you want to just get some clarification on, hey, why are we allowing this to happen? If it meets all the requirements, there's nothing that we can do really to stop it. But you're always, always, always welcome to reach out to Bill, to Ian, to Town Manager Ryan Cannon. You can reach out to myself, and I'll be happy to connect you to the right person. Asking questions is never a bad thing. We want to make sure that we get the right information out to the community.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Continue.
Well, and that's that. I mean, that's the thing about zoning that a lot of people don't understand. If you've got a piece of property that's zoned commercially, uh, we have to allow the land use even if it's not particularly uh, favorably looked at by the surrounding property owners. And what we try to do with our ordinance and with our development plan review process is minimize the negative impacts on those adjoining properties. You always got to remember that land uses have pluses and minuses. So they're having a small coffee shop within walking distance of your homes. You know, when you're walking and you want to stop in for some refreshments, you have a land use right there where you can get that. So there's some pluses, and obviously having a commercial land use in the middle of a residential area can be negative at times. Three other items on the agenda. Two of them were subdivision requests. One of them was an amendment to an existing subdivision. That was an amendment to Cedar Bend for 2 lots within that subdivision. And in this particular instance, it was a fairly simple request, but a controversial petition. And that's because the 2 lots in Cedar Bend that were being modified had some existing drainage conveyances through them. And the neighborhood was concerned that the developer might block the natural drainage paths in that. Now, this is something. It is unfortunate, but a subdivision request is another what we call ministerial petition, where if they meet the standards, the Plan Commission has to approve it. They have no choice. The remonstrators were concerned about drainage. In this particular case, it was moving a setback line. And because it was merely moving a setback line, and where they proposed the new setback line to be was consistent with our ordinance, the Plan Commission really had no opportunity to deny that for the drainage concerns of the neighbors. Having said that, the drainage issues will be reviewed through the permitting process. Now, there'll be no public forum for complaints or public forum for input on that, because permitting is a ministerial act as well, and it's an administrative act, meaning that it's done through the building commissioner, the planning director, and our staffs. We do the review of it. We have 2 professional engineers. One of them works for the town, who's a public works director, and one of them's our consulting engineer. And so there's a lot of eyes that are going to be on that. We're going to perpetuate the drainage because, quite frankly, that's a requirement of state law. So we will review that and make sure that the drainage is properly accommodated. And then the second subdivision request was the Villages of Turner Trace, a townhome development. And this was a re-subdivision of the townhomes in Turner Trace. So Turner Trace has 3 elements to it. It has a single-family residential element, an attached single-family residential element or townhomes, and then a commercial element to it. And in this particular instance, the developer wants to re-subdivide the townhome developments because their product has a narrower footprint. So I think it went from 30 to 24 feet. So the original lots were platted at 30 feet wide, while the buildings that they're building on there have individual units that are 24 feet wide. And so they wanted to plat it. Now, the end result is the density goes up a fraction. Original Turner Trace development was 48 lots for the townhome developments. 4 lots have already been constructed. 1 townhome has already been constructed. It was 4 individual units, and the petitioner is going to construct another 48. So it'll go from 48 lots as originally envisioned to 52 lots, but it won't really be that visible. And then the final petition, and that was probably the most controversial petition of the night, was a zoning amendment for the Turner Trace modification of commitments. And I would say probably about 70 or 80% of the commitment modifications weren't a big concern of the neighbors. So the biggest concern with the Turner Trace modification of commitments is that in the commercial area, convenience stores are currently prohibited by commitment, and the petitioner wished to remove that commitment from it, which would allow them to build a gasoline service station and a convenience store on the northern commercial lot in the Turner Trace, north of Governor's Row in the Turner Trace development. There were significant remonstrance to that. The Plan Commission continued that petition to the May meeting, the May 23rd meeting, after about an hour and a half public hearing. They did provide the plan or the petitioner their concerns with the petition and gave the petitioner the opportunity to amend their petition to incorporate some of their concerns and then come back with a new, or not a new petition, but with an amended petition to address their concerns at the March 23rd hearing date. So that's it. I mean, that was the Plan Commission for yesterday. We started at 6:30, got out about 10:15, 10:30, right around that time frame. So yeah, it was about a
felt closer to 11. I mean, I could
well, we
wrong.
left about 11. We had to hang around and do our normal data dump on the after action report for the Plan Commission.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was a long one.
Next meeting is May 23rd. And right now, how many are we looking at?
Yeah, I think we're up to 7 on that one.
Okay.
And the issue, of course, with that particular meeting is that most of the controversial petitions, the really controversial petitions that were on this docket, got continued to that one. And so I would anticipate a similar Plan Commission meeting in May, fairly long 11 o'clock meeting. Now, the Plan Commission has a rule where they're not supposed to hear new petitions after 11 unless they choose to vote to allow it. So unless the Plan Commission decides to go past 11, they're not supposed to go past 11. But I would anticipate that the next Plan Commission meeting is going to go to 10:30, 11 as well.
Well, on behalf of everybody in the town, Bill, we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to go through this. I appreciate everybody watching live, or maybe even watching this after a day or so after we record this. There's a tremendous amount of time that goes in Bill's side and Ian's side and the planning and building side, making sure that all of those check boxes are checked correctly and that everything is fitting where it's supposed to. And then, Bill, for you to take out some time out of your day after an extremely long meeting to come here and just talk to the community and let the community know, hey, in an abbreviated format, here's what happened. I hope that everybody that is watching, you gain some information, you gain some insight into how the process works, how these things kind of unfold. If you're ever interested in coming to a Plan Commission meeting or a BZA meeting or a town council meeting, always know those are public meetings. You are always welcome to attend, even if you have nothing to say and you just want to. I sit there and I'm just listening and I'm absorbing and I'm learning an immense amount of detail about the processes and what happens. You are always welcome to come. You are always welcome to sit in and listen, come up with questions. But I say this every single time. You're welcome to email Bill. His email information is available on our website, or you're always welcome to email myself or the town manager, Ryan Cannon, with any questions that you might have. Outside of that, hopefully, May 23rd will be, you're thinking 11 o'clock. We have this thing where Bill kind of jinxes us every single time. So I'm hoping that it's a reverse jinx. And he normally says, oh, it's going to be a pretty quick one. And then we're here for a few hours.
I just jinxed the public hearings that I'm not going to attend. That way, if they last longer, they all have someone to blame.
Perfect. Wonderful. Hopefully you will join us. If not, enjoy your week. It's supposed to rain this week. But yeah, Bill, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. You have yourself a great week, and we will see you soon.